Well, is Joel Embiid just appreciating the greatness of the Warriors? They're able to add a talent like DeMarcus Cousins. Well, when the news broke Monday night on Free Agent Fever here on NBA TV, our resident GM, David Griffin, put into context some polarizing comments made a couple of years back by a Warriors owner to the New York Times Magazine.
They're going to be maybe the best team in the league without him.
Yep.
And the reality is they can wait until he's 100% and then unleash that on the rest of the league. They will have had no time to watch. Think about this. If he comes out and plays this first game, let's say March 1st, that makes Boogie Cousins for $5 million and all the tax money they're going to pay on that $5 million. Basically like their buyout acquisition. And you're going to watch that team play for a month and a half. You're not going to have any time to prepare for what it looks like, and then you have to adjust to it. I remember Joe Lacob made a comment once, and everybody bristled, called them light years ahead of the rest of the league. At this point, I think that might have been an understatement of what it was that they were cooking up at the time. It was foreshadowing, and we didn't know it. And now in hindsight, I understand it. They had designs on things nobody had ever thought about doing in the NBA. And what they've done now is they said, what's our Achilles heel? What's the one way people think they can beat us? And this is it.
Willing to do things others won't. Anthony Slater covers the Golden State Warriors for The Athletic. This had to be a shocker for you. Anthony, let's start with the fact that, the Warriors have grown some enemies, some venom over the last couple of years as their greatness has gotten better, adding Kevin Durant. What do you think the hate level or the venom level will be now around the NBA?
It's high. Just look at Twitter tonight, right? I mean, and it is a bargain for them. It gives them 5 All-Stars, which is pretty ridiculous. 5 guys in their prime, which I believe I saw stats. This is the first time team will have 5 All-Stars from the previous season since 1975-76 Celtics. So the gathering of talent is unbelievable, but the hate for the Warriors is it rises a little bit, but I'm not sure it could have risen from the top level. It was already kind of ahead.
The planning and the vision that this front office has, not ever being satisfied with what they have in their current stable, but it also took some help from Kevin Durant. Can you break down for us exactly what happened with Durant's contract that helped make this Boogie contract possible?
Yeah, so the Warriors are so far in the tax that they didn't know if they were going to use their taxpayer mid-level exception this offseason, which is $5.3 million, because it was going to cost them about $22 million just to use it. And they needed to find a player that was worth it. But the fact that Kevin Durant, instead of taking a 2+1 or his full max, would have started his salary at $35-ish million per year next year, actually he could only start it at $30 now. That $5 million in savings is really about 21 or so in tax savings, and they can basically shuttle that over to Cousins and not feel that financial hit as much. So again, like he did last year when he gave a bunch of money back to let them, get Iguodala and Livingston, he kind of did it again. This time I don't think it was as purposeful, but it saves the Warriors money, and it's another thing that the rest of the league is kind of not going to be too happy about.
Well, winning seems to be the cure-all, right? Guys come here and they conform to what the system is, but you're around this team on a daily basis. How does Cousins, with the reputation he has around the league, and how will others, with him putting up big numbers on the court and guys kind of balancing all out with who scores, who assists, who rebounds, how do you think this all gels together?
It's going to be very interesting, and the thing that people, just because the name of DeMarcus Cousins has kind of throttled people today, a lot of people don't remember he's coming off an Achilles tear. He's probably not going to be ready till December and January. He's a 270-pound dude that has guard-type moves, switching moves on the perimeter that could be hard to play on a recovering Achilles tendon. So I don't know how good he's going to look, especially early on, knocking off some of that rust. He's never played with this much talent, because nobody really has ever played with this much talent. So he's a 25-point-per-game scorer in his career. What if he's only getting, 13, and, he's kind of more in the second unit, and then he's never played high-level playoff basketball? What about him in a Rockets series where, maybe Houston's trying to isolate him, and maybe the Warriors, instead of having him on the court, want Andre Iguodala for defensive purposes? How does he handle that type of stuff? It's all going to be very interesting, but at the same time, they have not had an offensive talent in the center spot at all. They had 4 combined threes from their 6 centers last year, and DeMarcus Cousins had 124 himself last year in 48 games. So it's potentially unbelievable, the pick-and-roll options, all the different stuff they could do. But it's going to take time to gel, especially with him coming off the injury.
Yeah, are they done now in the Bay Area?
or two done. Well, I mean, they still got 3 roster spots they're going to want to give. They really need wings. They only really got like 3 wings because they're guard heavy, and they still got the big man spot, and they don't have any money. I mean, they're basically just going to need to go bargain shopping for some veteran minimum wings.
All right, Anthony Slater from The Athletic breaking down how the Warriors were able to get DeMarcus Cousins to the Bay. Thanks so much, Anthony. Read his work on The Athletic. Much more to come on this edition of Free Agent Fever. What's the latest on the Kawhi Leonard rumors? Can the Lakers get him? What about a team in the Eastern Conference? Plus, Summer League is underway. We'll get you a matchup between the 4th pick and the 5th pick of the 2018 draft. Jaren Jackson goes up against Trae Young from Utah.
CK.
All right, let's get you more Summer League highlights. We got 4 versus 5 in the 2018 NBA draft. Jaren Jackson Jr., Trae Young. It is the Hawks with Trae Young, and Jaren Jackson is on Memphis. And Trae Young airballed his first three-point shot. Not a good start.
I thought Trae Young played for Memphis because the guy from Memphis was the one dropping them threes.
Oh, my goodness. And Trae Young, rough start, 0 for 9 in the first half from the field.
Well, I think it's a big adjustment for him because there's bigger length. Guys are jumping out. Guys are going at him because they saw what he did. They saw he was able to score.
And the one thing I will say about him is I look more at the shot selections. If he's getting the shots he wants, I think he's going to be fine. But that's the dude that was the shooter.
How about the big fella going outside?
He can shoot it, man.
Jaren Jackson. The Hawks passed up on this guy, right?
I love his size. I love the fact he can shoot, and he's gotten confidence in his abilities.
Well, Jackson was just tremendous. Memphis up at the half.
See, like that shot there, like he's getting his shots,
Yeah.
and he can shoot.
Well, Trae Young
he'll
was
be
just
fine.
1 of 11 from downtown. He would take it inside, get the pretty reverse lay in there.
If you can score, you'll figure out a way to score.
Right. Trae Young had 16 points, 4 of 20 from the floor, more from Jaren Jackson. He had 8 3-pointers. He was 8 of 13 from downtown, 29 points.
I think he was sending a message.
Oh, my goodness.
Maybe you should have taken me.
Yeah. I mean, that's ridiculous. Some of those threes.
Unbelievable. Take a look at what these 2 rookies did in their very first pro game. Wasn't a regular season NBA game, and Trae Young and Jaren Jackson had to deal with the air up there, the thin air in Utah. But, hey, Jaren Jackson certainly won this battle, but plenty more opportunity for Trae Young. I'll tell you in a moment where you can see him again in the near future right here on NBA TV. Golden State and Miami, the California Classic.
I like that idea.
In Sacramento.
Here's Bam Adebayo, another second-year player. Going right at Jordan Bell, another second-year player. Bam Adebayo there, the bucket and the foul. He had 14-14. Derek Jones.
Oh! That's that former running rebel, baby.
Oh, okay.
Pogo stick.
Okay.
That dude is like one of the most freakish athletes I've ever seen.
He had 24 in the Summer League opener at the Cali Classic. Warriors, Jordan Bell, some defense.
Jordan Bell not with the offense.
Didn't he do that during his rookie year, and he actually put it down? But
Yeah. He's done that a few times.
in a game.
That's
Risky
what you
move.
do. Hey,
Well,
he played in the finals. We got a ring.
Yeah.
I don't know
I
if
can
Shaquille O'Neal was
show
looking to see if he was looking
Duke.
like Jack in the Fool plays. More Duke guys, that's right. Not this guy. He went to Miami. Lonnie Walker.
Man.
The Grayson Allen for the Jazz. Lonnie Walker for the Spurs. Allen getting it up to Tony Bradley, who had 11 and 11. Derek White. He hits the 3. He had a team high 22.
He was on something in this one.
You were into this one.
Yeah, man. It's exciting because with free agency and in the rookie class, look, we're not the only ones into it.
Donovan Mitchell watching Grayson Allen. More from Allen. Jazz up big. Interesting pickup here by the Jazz.
But no, I like him. The fact I think he's going to a great situation where Quinn Snyder will let him fill out the offense.
Another Duke guy. He only mentioned.
Yeah,
Duke guy.
Exactly.
But
But
I
the
think-
only guys he watches.
Lonnie Walker 3 of 17 from the floor. Grayson Allen 4 of 16 from the field. 11 points. Flirted with a triple-double, 7 assists, 8 rebounds. We've got 3 more Summer League games for you on Tuesday. Hawks and Spurs starting at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. And, of course, make sure you tune in to us right here on Free Agent Fever as soon as the Summer League action wraps up out west. Well, what is going on with Kawhi Leonard? We heard from Jabbar Young, who covers the Spurs for the San Antonio Express News, for the most up-to-date rumors on where he is or is not going.
I think as long as Kawhi Leonard is in the San Antonio Spurs' property, he's under contract. As long as he hasn't been traded yet, there's always some hope that things can be repaired. Obviously, He's probably being kept, in the loop as far as what the Spurs are going to probably be trying to do in regards to trying to trade him, which he's requested. But at the same time, they're also sending signals like, listen, we still want to work this out. So if we get down to the wire and all of a sudden, Kawhi, you have a change of heart, let's sit down, let's talk, let's try to work it out. And I think also Kawhi has to also, in his head, he has to be prepared to possibly come back here for another season, because if the Spurs don't find a deal that's good enough for them, they don't pull that trigger, and I don't blame them for not pulling that trigger. It has to be a win-win for both parties. It just can't be a one-sided thing. Kawhi Leonard is under contract. Kawhi Leonard is a superstar player. The Spurs are not going to give him up for anything, and so he has to honor that deal. And I don't think he'll sit out. I know all that, the rumblings have been sitting out. I don't think that's going to happen. So, again, as long as he's in the Spurs program, as long as he hasn't been traded yet, there's always room for things to be worked out, even if it's slim. When training camp comes around, I believe Kawhi Leonard is going to be 100%. Again, I don't see him sitting out. I don't think he'll use that tactic to do that. It will diminish his value significantly, and he understands that. So I don't think that's the case at all, unless the injury is that bad again. And then if it's that bad, then also you diminish your value, and also people start to look at this and say, wait a minute, maybe the Spurs were smart to not give him that max contract. Maybe the people were smart to not give up all these assets. So again, I don't think Kawhi uses that. I think he will be 100% come training camp with any team that he's with.
All right, thanks, Jabari Young again from the San Antonio Express News. Billy King, Greg Anthony. We talked earlier in the show on whether you believe the Lakers should provide that Godfather-type offer to the Spurs in exchange for Kawhi Leonard. But what about teams in the Eastern Conference? Now that LeBron, who has dominated the East for 8 straight years going to the finals, GA, what about Boston? What about Philly? Teams who haven't made big moves. They've had to make some minor moves here in the first couple of days of free agency. Should they be pretty aggressive?
I would be. Listen, I think if you're Boston, it's not just about being the favorites to win the East. You want to have a chance to actually win it. Mm-hmm. And as much as you love their young talent, to assume that they're good enough to win it, I think would be a bit of fool's gold. I love Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, but they're not at the level of Kawhi Leonard. And I just think if you could make a deal to get Kawhi Leonard, if you're the Celtics or the Sixers, you now get yourself to a point where you could potentially win it all. And that's why I think those two teams should be in that mix.
Well, I think the Celtics, I think Danny Ainge believes that they are good enough to compete with Golden State. So he's thinking, getting Gordon Hayward back, getting Kyrie back, that they're going to be okay. I think the Sixers are a team that need that piece. They need Kawhi Leonard to go along with Simmons, to go along with Embiid. So for them, I think it makes much more sense because you add that piece, and Brett Brown coached him, so he knows him, right. And maybe he stays there, and now you've got those three to go long term. So I think it's more apparent for the Sixers, but I think they can't give away so much, and he leaves and hurts their franchise. So that's one thing I think. There was a report out there, I think, where they're asking 3 first-round picks from the Sixers. And
right.
To me, I don't think they do that. So I think both teams are going to be patient because both of them know that they're on the cusp. Sixers made the second round. Boston thinks we got that far without Kyrie and Gordon Hayward, so we're going to be good.
See, I disagree with you on this, though, Billy, because if I'm Boston or Philly, it's just like when you made your deal for LeBron. If I get Kawhi Leonard on that Sixers roster, those first-round picks aren't lottery picks. Yeah. They're late first-round picks. I can withstand that for 3 years. Right. My core, he would be my oldest, best player at 27.
Right.
My other 2 guys are early 20s. I could live with that deal. And if again, those 3 picks may not ever resort in a player of the caliber, and it won't allow you to compete for a championship today. And I have the same scenario with Boston. Boston has a really, really good team. But with Kawhi and Gordon Hayward, with Kyrie and Gordon Hayward coming back, they're still going to have to shuffle that lineup some. And now they're going to go in with a different mindset. They're going to have the expectation factor over their head. They're not going to be the really good story anymore. And when you have expectations, things change. You see teams differently now. I just think if either of those teams has a chance to pull the trigger, I think you almost have to. I think he could be a difference maker. Now, the question is, can you re-sign him? That's the bigger issue.
Didn't Paul George owe us something? Right?
Well, yeah, but Paul George is Paul George.
Lakers,
and also, Paul George never said he was going to L.A. That's what all the speculation was. And, again, same thing with Kawhi Leonard. I haven't heard. He said he liked it, but I never heard him say, I'm going to L.A. I never heard that.
But he said his dream was to play in L.A., right? And
But also, I think the difference is Oklahoma City was a team that, they had been winning for a long time. So the culture was already set of a team that been to the
But doesn't a
finals.
team like Boston have to believe in their culture to say that if we give up a lot to get Kawhi, we can use these 12 months as a recruiting pick as opposed to maybe one phone call in free agency?
Yeah, but I think Boston feels they've got all these pieces there, so they don't have the Sixers. On the other hand, to give up 3 picks, and also you're going to give up some players, Sarge and like that. So to me, that's a lot, especially if you know he's not going to stay.
Well, that's the issue. If I got a guarantee that he's going to re-sign, if I'm Philly, I could absolutely make this deal.
Well, stay tuned. It's been a busy start to free agency. We
2
may get
first-rounders.
ourselves
Okay.
Two.
Yeah, give him the Miami 2021. That Miami pick in there. There you go.
17. Well, LeBron James is off to L.A., but what's left behind in Cleveland? Kevin Love is still there. Should Kevin Love be dealt, or should the Cavs bring him back?
Did you say the logo's still there?
Regardless of LeBron returning to Cleveland or not. Now we know he is heading to Los Angeles to play for the Lakers. Monday, Jason Lloyd of The Athletic says that multiple sources from around the league insist that the Cavs are indeed open to moving Kevin Love. He's on the books for $24 million next season, $25.5 million on a player option for the 1920 season. Billy, should the Cavs look to deal Kevin Love?
I don't think they should look the deal, but I think they should listen to any offers from anybody because they're in a position right now. They're not where they were trying to get to a championship. So they got to listen. If somebody makes a deal for Kevin Love, even though he's in the last year of his deal, so you don't want to take a contract back, now listen to somebody you want to build with going forward. So if you're getting young pieces, yes. But just to trade them, I wouldn't just give them away. There are other guys on that roster with 2 years on their deal. I would try to do everything I can to move them to try to give you cap flexibility. But Kevin Love is somebody that if you want to let him play it out and then use that space at the end of the year or maybe trade him at the deadline. But you're going to listen to offers right now because you're not really going anywhere right now. LeBron's gone, so you're going to listen to offers to anybody in that roster. And Kevin is probably the most valuable.
And the other thing that you could also entertain is if you feel like you have a bad contract, you could put that in the deal. If you want Kevin Love, you've got to take this contract with it.
Like George Hill.
George Hill, you might even consider J.R. Smith. So like those are other ways that you can try to get rid of contracts that you deem to be bad contracts at this point based on where that roster is. So it's something that they're definitely going to have to look at moving forward. And if you're Kevin Love, you probably would welcome the opportunity, having gotten used to playing for championships. Right. He'd probably like the opportunity to go play for a contender.
Looking up and down the East, with LeBron out, are the Cavs a playoff team?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I just don't think so.
Right, LeBron.
Well, remember, this team with LeBron they won 50.
Right.
It wasn't like they were winning 60, 62. Right. So that roster, absent LeBron, absent Kyrie, it's not quite the same.
And they still got decisions like Hood's a free agent, so they've got to make some decisions on some guys.
There are still plenty of good free agents out in the market, both of the unrestricted and restricted variety. We come back on this edition of Free Agent Fever. We'll take a look at a big man who Houston would love to bring back, and other GMs salivating to put out an offer sheet on Clint Capella. Where will he end up?